Cool. Hopefully the internet won't do me too bad, but it looks like I am connected. So, welcome. We are here. We are live. This is the actual first series, the first talk, and I am glad to
Oh,
be here. Yes, with Miss Reese. This particular talk is from our new series, the Terminal Talk series. So, what we do is not only reach out to people that are actually traveling the world, get a better understanding of what prompted them to leave wherever it is that they came from, what they're learning on their journey, different things also with travel deals and hacks that we are all learning, so that people that may be looking for a reason to get off of the couch and might be a little bit uncertain actually get an opportunity to go about taking some of these trips and travel journeys that both you and I have. So, for the people that do not know you, can you kind of tell us first who you are before we get into your journey into the travel space?
hey everybody. Thank you so much for having me, RJ. So, my name is Shauna Breesy. I am a music artist, event curator, vegan content creator. I make vegan recipe content, I rap recipes, and I'm just a creative. I like to create things and I love to travel. So, I've been traveling the world since January. Well, been like living abroad, in different countries. And the plan is to keep moving around, the world till I figure out somewhere I actually want to settle down. But before all of this, I'm just more really big into my community, really big into indie concerts and indie artist events and being an indie artist myself, providing opportunities and just seeing all the things that I can do, how they overlap. That's what I'm big on.
Nah, that's dope. Let me ask you. So, where did you come from? Like, were you in a major city? Were you in like the suburbs of a city? Kind of tell me about that.
Yeah, I was living in Charlotte for the past 7 years. I'm originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I usually live in like mid-sized cities. So
Okay.
like I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. In middle school, I lived in California for like very short, like 6 months. I lived in Southern California. Then I moved to Missouri. I lived in Missouri for 10 years. From
Oh wow.
like I lived in Missouri from like eighth grade. Well, St. Louis from like eighth grade until like right before my senior year, and then I lived in Kent City, Missouri for like 7 years after that. So my teenage and my early 20s, I was living in Missouri, and then I moved to Charlotte in 2018, and that's when I
Okay.
started pursuing my music and everything, and pursuing my passion and being an entrepreneur and stuff. In 2018 to like 2020 is when I started leaping on and betting on myself and stuff like that. And
I get that.
when it comes to like creativity and actually start doing events and stuff in 2019. So yeah, I moved around. Like I lived in the East Coast, West Coast, Midwest,
Midwest,
down
right?
south, and then finally, jumped off the America ship, and onto
Nah,
the world scale.
nah. That I mean, that sounds like a hell of a journey because most people watching this may have been growing up in just one place, and when you're telling me about this journey, it makes me think that that maybe started not only the thought process to want to travel because you were traveling and seeing different perspectives of the United States that honestly
Mhm.
growing up in Philadelphia I did not have these kind of access to. I think I went from Philadelphia all the way down to Florida, but it was just like little pockets in between. It wasn't like I was
Mhm.
actually like spending time there over time, but to think
Mhm.
not only that from what you're doing now, which is traveling, which you said it started in January, so that's relatively recent. We'll get into that, but also with the the creativity portion, because being able to see so many different parts of the United States at a unique time when you were still like this extreme sponge trying to
Right.
soak up the music, what people were wearing, different opportunities even with food. That is I mean, I would think that those things kind of shape where you are today. Would you think so?
Yeah, definitely. I think even outside of me living in these places, because I was in these different regions, I got to travel to a lot of different parts of the United States. I've been to like 38 states,
Okay.
and 25 of those I have been to by like eighth grade, and I count with if I've been through it and if I stayed or not. I didn't necessarily go on individual vacations there, but I've seen a lot of the landscape of the United States. But then I also lived in these different parts, and I always thought it did contribute to my creativity. Like I have a mixed sound. You might hear East Coast, like you might hear Pittsburgh in my beat selection, but then like people be thinking I'm from the West Coast sometimes, even though I only lived there for 6 months. And then like the Midwest, I start rapping and stuff out there. So I grew influence. I got influence from like the Midwest sound and twisting and chopping, and then living in the South. A lot of my producers were from the South, and a lot of my stuff I did creatively was in the South. So that all had an impact on me. But also when it comes to like moving and my geographic location, when it came to like, I was like, all right, it's time for me to leave Charlotte. I had already felt like I've been everywhere, like I didn't feel
Uh,
like there was a place in
there
the
it is.
United States that I wanted to live. Actually, like the only place that came close in my thoughts was like Los Angeles. And I was just like, I'm not trying to pour out all that money right now. And I don't think it's worth it. So it was
Yeah.
like, yeah, I didn't think it was worth it. So I was like, and then the fact that I traveled a lot to Cali over the years, like solo, like maybe like 4 times a year. I spent like 2 weeks there last year in LA, and just spending some extended time out there to where I thought maybe that might be where I want to be. That's the only place I can see myself really again. Out of all the places I have been was
I
Cali. I
got
didn't really get to explore it as much, but after really considering it, I'm like, it's not worth it, because it would have taken a lot more commitment. I think people overcomplicate the whole living abroad thing. It actually is easier in a lot of senses to just take your money and put it somewhere that's stretched. So yeah, I think definitely where I live influenced that. I felt like I had been seeing everything, and I was like, yeah, it's time. America's kind of washed in my book when it came
nah.
to like options and affordability.
Yeah, and a lot of people that is, I know that so many people watch these kind of things and think, why are the reasons why I might be moving abroad, or even just wanting to travel more because, even getting a break because not everybody has the opportunity to say, okay, I'm going to go leave all the way and move somewhere that I've seen on the internet that was good. But some people are like, you know what? I'm going to spend less of my money on things and individual stuff and try to put some opportunities in for me to see the world. So, yes, I still got to go to work in the United States, but the ability to see the world with unique things. I think one of the internet things I saw was how to make your PTO stretch. Have you seen that? It's like
No, I
uniquely
haven't.
taking the holidays based off of federal holidays around the United States and uniquely getting maybe 30 to 40 days off, I think it is. But it's very unique. But I'm like, you're traveling at the most expensive times. But that's where a lot of people
Right.
are right now, because they are either one, in the United States and saying, how can I see some of these things that I'm seeing on the internet? Or
Right.
two, they're at that point, but they're looking to leave. And January was just we're in May, not too long ago, less than 6 months.
Right.
What was it that was the final straw for you? Because a lot of people are looking to see what their end result. I had a homie that was in Florida. He said, when they declare martial law, that is when I'm going to leave the United States. And I said, if
Man.
you think you're going to leave the United States in the middle of martial law, it's not going to happen. So we obviously know you didn't leave then. So what was maybe the last straw? Because you said you were looking at LA, but it was just like, I just need to leave here.
Yeah, I think I was looking at because I was looking at some short term stays in LA, like via Airbnb, because I wasn't planning on like living there forever. I had just got another. I had just because I have a background in insurance, right?
Okay.
Insurance sales, like Medicare and stuff like that. I've been doing that since I was like 22, but not consistently. I stopped doing it when like consistently about 2020, and then I went back once for a couple months just during the busy season in 2022, and then I had started back again in January, and I was like, well, I could pretty much, when you're an entrepreneur, your income isn't as stable, sometimes. So I was like, well, if I start working again, I could live wherever I want in the world, essentially, because but I was like, looking at like the short term stays, and I could have afforded to live in LA. I would have definitely like, it would have definitely been like I'm paying like the Airbnb alone was like 3,000 something, and then like the car, and then for the like everything was just expensive.
Food.
Like, I don't want to live. I realized at this point in my life, I don't want to live like I don't want to struggle, Like I don't want to live in this LA. I'm living out my car in LA. At
Yeah.
this point, I'm not trying to do that. So I'm gonna pay for the things, but like they make you jump through a lot of hoops. Like in the States, like you gotta pay the first month, the last month, security deposit, unless it's like something short term. But if it's short term, you're paying like way over and above, if you want something furnished in short term. But for me, the last straw was that I didn't have anything on the calendar that would keep me in Charlotte. I had two big grants because I have experience in getting grants for creative projects. I had two big grants on the table, and I told myself, like, if I don't get these grants, I'm going to leave the country. And at that point, I thought I was going to Thailand because that was without the job in question. That was
Hmm.
before I got rehired. So I was like, I'm gonna just take the money I got and go to Thailand and just figure it out, And then when I didn't get the grants, and I was actually happy, I was like, and this is like $35,000 grant,
Yeah.
two different grants, and like the reasonings why I didn't get them were so small, but I was like happy because I originally was saying like those projects wouldn't have been done until June. My original plan was like, yo, after June, I'll start traveling, when I'm done with these grants. And then I end up not getting either one, even though like for the festival I was doing, I was a shoo-in for that grant, me and my partner, but it was one line item that was on the budget that disqualified us. It was like transportation of equipment, and transportation wasn't covered under the grant. A very small mistake because we already got awarded by this company before. And I looked at that as a sign, like I wasn't meant to be tied down in Charlotte because that would have been on my calendar. But because I didn't have any bookings, and for once I didn't have any residencies, because in 2022 and in 2024 weekly, I had residencies from February to May, where I had to be on the ground and stuff like that. So this was the first time in a minute that I didn't have anything on the couch. I didn't have any bookings. I didn't have any shows. So it was like, I literally don't have to be here for anything I do. And then I had just started doing my grant master classes online. And that was the first time I had made money online without, like, I make money from my events, but I have to be there in person for them. And this was the first time I had made money online, and it gave me confidence to where I was like, even if I'm making 500 a month off of this, that's enough for my rent in Thailand,
Yeah.
and I could be good, So I ended up not getting the grants, and I ended up not. Then I ended up getting the job. So the reason why I went to Colombia first instead of Thailand was because I didn't want to work on opposite time zones after starting
Yeah.
work after
That's
2
a tough one.
years not working. I didn't want to get back into it on opposite time zones, and yeah, so I ended up getting on ChatGPT and typing my criteria, and it gave me different options. And Medellin was one of those options, about the weather and that it's cheaper and it's close. It was like I was able to fly Spirit over there, which I would have been flying Spirit a lot. So I was like, let me. And then I got online. I started doing independent research, and one of the videos I found was yours and this group of 5 other Black people who were in Medellin. They're Afro-Colombian and African American, and they talked about their experience. And I was like, yo, I could actually do this. It's not as scary as everybody make it seem. So I actually that's when I chose Colombia, and So it was because I got that job, and then now I'm not even working the job no more. So yeah,
No, see, it's interesting that path that you've taken to get out, because a lot of people they think that it takes. When I talk to some people, they're like, I'm thinking about it, maybe in the next 5 years or 7 years, and I'm like, wow. That's
yeah,
3 more years of the guy. Like at the very least, like that is an interesting situation. And I've been here. I've been gone for 2 years, and I always want to hear why people most recently have left. But it's funny because it's a lot of the same reasons why many of us are already here. To just kind of like turned up a little bit. If that makes any sense?
yeah. It's like for me, it was, and then let me like elaborate a little bit more on like why I left. It was like I felt stagnant. In a way, I was doing things, and it just felt like I wasn't growing. I think that was a big thing for me. I didn't feel growth, and I knew I had to remove myself from my environment. Like my family lives in Charlotte too, so like my parents live there, my siblings and stuff like that. My family, I end up like little by little, we all relocated there, and it just felt, it was what I've been doing the past 7 years, and Charlotte felt like a black hole to me, kind of like they suck you in, and it makes you feel like this is all that exists in this black hole, and you forget you in a black hole. You start making yourself real comfortable and stuff. You forget you got sucked in here, and that you're in a black hole, and that's what it felt like to me. Like the energy felt like a black hole. Like it took from me without inspiring me. I wasn't inspired by my environment. I felt like I had to add and build stuff to my environment. I was a big part of my community out there. So it just, I felt like I needed to choose me. A lot of times I was focusing on other people and putting other artists on stages and different things. Like I lost interest in music. I felt like it was a chore to do
Mhm.
music, and I fell back in love with music after leaving. Like it just re-inspired me. I knew it was time for a new leap, and I wasn't taking enough risk, and I know when I moved to Charlotte, I took a risk when I moved out there, and it worked out. And I just wasn't, I felt the need in my spirit, following my heart to take that leap, and once I decided that I was leaving, I was gone in 3 weeks. Like,
Wow.
I was gone in 3 weeks. Once I actually decided, I feel like deciding be like the main point. It didn't take a whole lot. I was looking at apartments for Charlotte in Charlotte too, and it was just like not worth it. Like before I was talking about leaving, it was just like not worth it. I would have had to pay like 2,000. Like the only place I actually liked, it was 1,900 plus utilities and stuff like that. I would have been paying like 2,500 to 3,000 in expenses just to live in Charlotte. And
Yep.
I just didn't think that was worth it. It's not enough in the creative ecosystem to make me want to spend $3,000 to live in Charlotte. It's
Yeah.
like, you know what I'm saying? Like the cost of living went up so much in the past 5 years. It's ridiculous. It's really crazy. It's like, and they're not doing anything to add to it to get back. Like I don't mind if it's like opportunities and stuff for me to do my creativity and get paid for it and actually thrive out here. It's hard to thrive out here as an artist. Even with all my I gotta create my own opportunities, and you gotta. I didn't like feeling like I gotta do an event to make money, or you know what I'm saying. So I would take time off from like everything and just experience living and stuff like that and move around. And I traveled a lot around the United States solo. Before I left solo.
Hmm. Nah, and that is that it's interesting because I hear all of this, and you mentioned one word that had like stuck out with me the most, and it was growth. Because we often don't look outside of what it is that we know to potentially challenge ourselves for growth. Um, the I always talk about the United States as a snow globe, and you can get too big for your cage. You can get too big for your snow globe, But right now, I want to hear kind of what you've seen, because at this point in the last 5 months, you've been in two places, and growth looks different wherever it is that you go. You're challenged
Right.
with different things. Opportunities look differently. Like, how is some of the things that you've seen allow for growth since you've left because it's so relatively new?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm in like an accelerator program, just by traveling and like a life accelerator program because I'm learning so much that I wouldn't have learned, just through solitude, essentially through solitude and experience in other culture. I feel like that a lot of times is the best teacher. Stuff happens to you, but it's just like the good, the bad. I learned so much. So since I've been out here, I've learned just a lot more about myself. I've gotten into about how important solitude is for me. I didn't
Mhm.
understand how important that was for me before leaving. I think for me, I had during COVID, another thing that was like contributing to my stagnancy during COVID, like a lot of millennials, I moved back in with my family. I moved back in with my parents. So that was it was 4 bedroom at the time. I had like two separate bedrooms, so I felt I had space. It was comfortable for me, and but then it got to the point where it was too comfortable. But that's why how I was able to travel a lot around the states and spend so much money traveling and stuff because I didn't have to worry about rent and stuff like that necessarily. But with that came like I just, I needed to grow, I needed to grow out of that situation. So and I realized that it was time for me to get back on my own again, and just
Yeah.
experience living alone again, and though I am grateful for the time I had to live with my family, because I learned a lot from that period of time too. I learned a lot about myself through my family. I helped my family a lot by being around them again and influencing their eating habits and different things. And my family helped me a lot, but I felt like it was time to go. I was dealing with other energies that I was not necessarily like subjecting myself to, waking up
Hmm.
at certain times that I wasn't subjecting myself to, hearing like different things. And then my sister ended up moving back in too with her kids. And then that that from there, I was like, then it became uncomfortable, when it was
Yeah.
like my parents, my sister, her kids. I'm like, all right, now it's uncomfortable, and I needed that to push me out because it was just too comfortable, for
Hmm.
me. And I was able to, still move around, still have my solitude, but through traveling. But home became like a point where I wasn't able to get quiet and stuff like that. And then so I realized when I went out on my own is that like whatever I have to do to maintain my solitude, wherever that is in the world, I will do that, because that's important for me right now in my life. And I learned that I just learned more about myself by being alone. At this point in my life, because I hadn't lived alone since I was like 26, so now then I was 30 when I started this journey. So it's just a different point in my life that I was like, I need to know like how I'm gonna how my house is gonna be or how I'm gonna be at this point in my life because I didn't have much to compare it to, since besides the fact where I lived alone before when I first moved to Charlotte, but I was also working full time, making six figures, not even traveling. It's funny. I didn't have my passport until 2021. So it's not a money thing. People don't travel the world. It's really like it's a mindset thing, because
Hmm.
six figures. I started making six figures when I was 23, and I didn't have my passport. This is pre-COVID, and I also didn't travel like that. I won a free trip to Hawaii and I didn't even extend it. I could have extended it. I had all the money and time and I wanted to get back to work. So that's the thing with the
Yeah.
mindset that like when you're making so much, at that point all you care about is making money and and then you're spending your money on not experiences. A lot of times you're spending it on material. I was spending my money on vacations, but because I didn't have any passion to back it, it was just like I'm just buying stuff, going shopping, going to Houston to go shopping, and going to Cali and sitting in a hotel room and stuff like that. So it was just like I've experienced so much more by not working, by being an entrepreneur, by having the freedom. It's hard to go back, but just through the solitude of being alone, and then like even in Colombia, like getting robbed in Colombia, I'm so grateful for that experience because I learned so much. I learned so much that, only being robbed can teach you, like so much awareness that I hadn't got robbed before in the States. It took me to leave to get robbed, though it wasn't,
Yeah.
though I looked at all the stuff I learned from it, it's like, I'm grateful for it because I got too comfortable. And they say never get too comfortable, but I got too comfortable. I was in a nice little area that I really liked, and I just got too comfortable. So it's just stuff like that. And Thailand being so different. Thailand was very different for me.
Okay.
It was not what I expected when I got here. I didn't love it when I got here. After hyping it up in my head for like 3 years, since like 2022, I've been just looking at stuff online. I've had the money time and time again to actually do this since like since I first got my passport and started introducing myself to this. I've had the money to do it multiple times. I spent, like when I stayed in LA for 2 weeks, I spent like $3,000 on lodging alone, or like on lodging and rentals for 2 weeks.
Yep. Sounds
Like
about
I
right.
could have definitely went somewhere else for a month and stuff like that. I think it really takes the decision, but Thailand was so much balance. I wasn't ready for it. Like Colombia, I just loved every place. You're gonna get balance, but it's in different ways. Some Colombia, it was disproportionately good for like the first 45 days, right? And then I got robbed, right? That was the balance. Then the last 3 weeks, I'm dealing with the aftermath of getting robbed and PTSD, and I'm navigating that whole situation, and social media, and sharing that on social media, and navigating that situation, and redefining what my relationship with social media is, and how personal and how much I'm sharing, just all of that. But Thailand, it was like good, bad, good, bad, good, bad. Like everything was like immediate balance. It might smell like garbage. It might smell good, and then 2 seconds later, it smelled like garbage. Like that's the type of like balance I was getting, and it's so hot out here, but the food is good. Like just different things. Like the Black community is so strong out here. It's very healthy. I feel like where Colombia, more, I would go to things, but I was more like diversified on what I went to, and it wasn't all Black community events and stuff like that. I would go to like some local events and different things, but I found comfort in my community out here, just being around. And I think it's because it's so much culture shock. And when I really realized I was out here, I was like, what did I do? Did I do something
Mm-hmm.
wrong? I'm like, I'm so far away. The flight was so long. It was like so much culture shock that I didn't know if I made the right decision. And I was like, I'm fucking stuck out here now. I gotta tough it
That
out. And
is a long way.
yeah, you don't hear about like the bad things about Thailand. You just hear about all the good stuff. I think you hear Colombia. I think Colombia shocked me just like Thailand shocked me. It shocked me on how much I loved it, versus Thailand. I expected to love it immediately, but I still just like it out here. And that's okay. But I'm
Nah,
learning I need to stick it out regardless.
I mean, the thing you're hinting on is a couple of things. One, you know, you can have a great time, you can have a not so great time. Some people would take even to some of the things you've said and said, okay, that's it. I'm bringing my ass back to the house. I'm going back to the United States because this has never happened to me before. However, keep a glass half full kind of scenario and say, alrighty, I can maneuver around this, and I want people to hear that because so many people think that the move out of the United States and indoor traveling is like an immediate solve to every problem that you were possibly facing in the United States. And, the real conversations about some things that can happen, a lot more, I would say, good things do happen abroad, no matter where you are,
Right.
versus bad things. But a lot of people want to paint like rosy pictures as if everything It's always okay. Or everybody over there is having an amazing time 110% of the time and never are feeling any of the things that you might think that you may feel. Now, being the creative scenario, and I know a lot of people are in this opportunity to express creativity. And you did something unique the other day that I saw, which was you hinted on it earlier, which was an opportunity to get an understanding on uh, getting grants for creativity. What you do, well, not only what you do, but helping other people get these opportunities. Because I would assume, and I asked you this offline, like, what kind of people are you meeting over there that are Black people that can afford to be a day ahead on, like, it's Tuesday at 7:38 a.m. right now. Am I not mistaken?
Yeah, 7:38 on Tuesday. Yeah.
Right. That is a completely different schedule than Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, Eastern Central. It could still be a little difficult for somebody on Pacific time.
Right.
So, are you running into a lot of creatives that are able to connect with in this sense where you're seeing that they're looking for opportunities to get into grants to sustain this creative life that they're living?
Yeah, I'm meeting some more now, and that's why I'm debating on. Really, I need to probably do a workshop to cater to this time zone. So right now, I'm really catering to my audience on the East Coast still. Like with my master classes, I'm waking up 4 a.m. to do these master classes and stuff for my grant stuff. I've done 2 out here so far. It took for me to quit my job again to quit again to actually start doing them again. But yeah, I'm catering more to people back home. That's who's buying into it. I feel like for me, my first grant inspired. It gave me the ability to go to London. It gave me the funds. I had an opportunity to go to London, and I happened to just get a $10,000 grant that was for my creative development. So I used some of that to go to London. And from there, everybody I met was so well traveled. It inspired me. Like, I realized I hadn't traveled that much at all. I thought I was so well traveled. So I went to London, and it's like every state I went to is like a different country they've been to, and with a different language and
Yeah.
a different culture and a different type of people. So it opened up my London being the first place I really traveled abroad. It opened up my perspective to where of all the places I could go and all the places I could see when the hotel clerks have been to Thailand and different things and have been places. And I enjoyed talking to people and knowing the same language. It helped. So just mainly I've been meeting all different types of people. I haven't really been doing business too much with the people out here. I've just been kind of experiencing life, and intersecting life paths with them out here. And I've been having really cool conversations with people. Like, I think it's been really dope, the type of conversations I've been having just abroad, because you attract different people, because now you're talking to every person you talk to. If they're American, they somebody that leaked like you
Yeah.
did. So it's already a different mindset, and people been traveling different time frames and everything. So I think it's been really a learning experience, just being able to talk to like-minded individuals that are in other places that are doing the things that you're doing, that also made them same steps like you. But I definitely see that there is, as I grow more out there is a market of people that would be interested in the creative grad. So I just gotta do a time frame, because they're not going to wake up at 4 a.m. I don't think to learn about grad. So I would have to do this to tailor to the time. But I've more been just inspired by just conversations and seeing people doing their thing. There's so many different Black groups out here in Thailand. It's like at least 3 to 4. There's 3 to 4 different Black groups that are doing 4 to 5 events per month. So yes, they overlap, but it's like different groups. It's like Black women in Thailand. It's Adventures While Black. It's the Global Takeover. It's Black in Bangkok. It's yeah, those are the groups that I know of just off the bat, that I've been going to different things and meeting different people from. So
Must be
it's
a.
been
Is it a big? I take it as a big city.
You said what?
It must be a huge city.
Bangkok is pretty big. You know, Bangkok is like the New York City of Asia, or it's like the Toronto. You know, like Toronto is like that place of Canada. Then you got like New York City. Then you got like London. Then you got like Bangkok. You know, of South Asia. You know, this is like capital. You know, 40 million visitors per year. There's a lot of people that come here and are tourists. But when I first got out here, because of where I was living, I ain't see no black people, and that was definitely a lot of culture shock. I didn't see nobody when in my day-to-day life. I seen them when I went to their events and it gave me comfort, but in my day-to-day life, I didn't see no people of color, and that just was like it was a lot for me. I'm like everybody Asian, like I stick
So
out
when you
like.
first got there, you didn't see any black people unless you were like, all right, we are doing
Once I went
this
to a
at
black
this.
event, like for
How
my
was
first
that for? Because you
it
you
was,
had
I
just
didn't
from
like it, man.
Colombia, and that is kind of like I wouldn't say the complete opposite, but I'm like, there's a lot of like I feel like you can run into black people just walking around down the street like all the time, like.
Right. Yeah, it's not some areas less than other in Colombia. Like staying in Ciudad del Rio, I noticed sometimes I was the only black person walking around. But it's not out of the ordinary to see a black person in Colombia because there are Afro Colombians. There were several times where I'm in the club, I'm like, yo, this dude is American. Let me say something. And then the dudes don't even speak English. I'm like, wow, I thought you was American. There's a lot of people that look just like us out there to where it's like if I spoke Spanish, you might think I'm Colombian, you know. So when I came to Asia, ain't no way around it. Like I'm not from here, and you could tell, you know. And when I was the area, I guess I was somewhere a little bit more remote, and I just wasn't seeing none of us. And that being when I first got here and just getting around and just not seeing no black people, it was definitely like I felt like I felt alone. I felt very alone, and I felt like, man, I'm really out here. I'm so far. I felt close still. Like I would tell people when I was in Colombia, I would look at myself on the map. I would zoom out, and it was so weird to see my little blue dot there in Colombia. But I always felt like I wasn't far, like because it's not far. You know, I felt like I was still close. You know, and there's still a familiarity being in the Americas, still being in the
Yeah.
Americas. But this is like totally different than anywhere I ever been, anything I ever experienced. This flight was nothing like I ever been on, you know, and it's like not seeing no black people on top of that has been like I just did it was like a lot. It was culture shock. But then having those black groups in these black communities, it gave me comfort, and that's where a lot of my people been out here, which was unique because Colombia, I knew some locals and different things. Like I hung out with the black people, but I also went to local stuff and local events and was around just Colombians and maybe a black and one of the black friends I made out there or something like that. But here I've noticed there's so many black women I've been able to connect with, like different groups. I've been able to hang out with different groups of people and build connection with a lot of black people. And in a way, I felt guilty. Like, damn, I'm out here and I'm not even experiencing the locals. I'm just hanging out with black people. But then I thought, like, that's what all the other communities do when they come to America. They link up with their people. And there's nothing wrong with that. Why when it comes to black people, we feel like we gotta mix and mingle with everybody. And it's like I get you want to learn the culture and learn that, but it's like I should be fine being allowed to link up with my people and build community with my people just like they do. That's why there's Chinatown. That's why there's Koreatown everywhere. That's why all the Indians link up and stuff on the block together, and this Vietnamese people and neighborhoods together. So I gotta reframe my mind on that to not feel guilty that I'm only hanging out with black people out here. Though I'm open to meeting Thai people and connecting with them, it just hasn't happened and I'm not forcing it. Though in Colombia, I met a lot of locals and different people. And that was great about my experience. But it's like, if we don't speak the same language, they made it seem like everybody out here speak English. And that's not the case. It's as many people that speak English out here as in Colombia. Majority of people don't speak English. Like, they don't tell you that.
Yeah, that's what I'm like. Most people don't tell you the truth about like living abroad and what is actually going on. that's what half the problems are. And that's why we do our best to try to at least shed a little bit of light on it, because it's just, community looks different where wherever it is you go. Not only that, but the you part. You, me, anybody that could be watching this community could look different. So
Yeah.
you're going to run into places that have a vibrant community. They may have a different community aspect, because I meet a lot of people that come from Mexico here, and they're like, this place is completely different than the community I left in Mexico. And that is
Right.
what a lot of people need to understand with both travel as well as moving abroad. You're going to run into scenarios where you can, well, not in scenarios. I think your mindset is to think that it's all going to be the same. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
going to be the same at all. And you need to be ready. I call it having your drawbridge low enough to be able to actually appreciate the experience that you're getting. But a lot of people
Right.
don't have the drawbridge low enough, and then there's no understanding. And honestly, from a community aspect, I feel you on that, because we don't have a lot of places where we can commune in the United States. So finding places, where we can be a part of another community and still be a part of our own community, and what feels like, damn, I haven't been able to do things like this with us in a while. It's crazy. I had to go all the way on the other side of the world to feel this kind of peace with my folks. And that is something that, until you get to experience it, you really don't understand how it can impact how you, like, you're. I always say that this moving abroad process, as well as traveling, it's like a trajectory shift on your life. Like, your
No.
life could have been so different if you didn't move abroad, or if you never traveled. Like, if you just stayed in one place and only saw one thing. And I can I can only tell somebody that hasn't, from a, it's like an exuberance perspective, but I'm like, bro, you just don't understand. You really don't know what you really don't know, but so many people are want to take the first step. And particularly, particularly from this being a five month journey, as far as like, okay, I'm actually leaving and I'm out. You've gone from, okay, most people will first stops Panama, Medellin, or Panama, Colombia, Mexico. That's like the three hotspots that are on this side of the world that are the
Mhm.
easiest lifts. However, you went and was like, okay, let me go with that other one that was also on my radar. And I tell
Right.
so many people all the time, you need to go inspect what you expect in this regards to this travel life, in regards to this living abroad life, because it's not like you can't come back to the United States. And I think
Right.
so many people are kind of like conflicted with this thing where they're like, well, if I leave, I can't come back. Or if I leave and I go somewhere and I have a bad time, I have to go back. And you have done both, the anti of those things. And it's like, this is what I try to tell people about this travel life. Like, it may not be the first stop that you make. It may
Right.
not even be the second stop. You just have to have the I guess the courage to, like, risk the trajectory of what your life could have been versus what your life could be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's like it's hard to go back after you experience different things. You experience living as living. You're in a different class essentially, and that's a part of it. Like a lot of times in the States, it's like a struggle. Or you got to work full time and really bust your ass to live, to have the same type of luxury you could have abroad for a portion of money. I mean, I was talking to someone out here and she was talking about how, we're being a Black American, you in the top 1% of richest Black people in the world. That's why you can go, but you got to leave the States to experience your riches. You know what I'm saying? And then, like, a lot of times when it comes to community, like when it comes to community, The only community we have in the States is the hood. That's the biggest sense of community I've ever had living in the States, was when I lived in the projects from fourth to seventh grade. I lived in the hood in Pittsburgh, and that was the most community I had, but it wasn't a positive community, but it was the most I felt like a part of my community in my life. And that's usually the only time they let Black people convene and stuff together. So when you're doing that abroad, you're immediately with a different class of Black people, the people that took the risk and leap to go abroad. So it's already different. And yeah, it is different everywhere you go and everything you experience. I expected, like when I first got to Thailand, I kept comparing it to Colombia. Oh, this ain't like Colombia. Colombia wasn't this hot. And I had to break myself out of that. Like, it's not going to be like Colombia. Colombia was your first stop, but you're trying to compare everything and make everything Colombia. And it's not going to be Colombia because this is Thailand. Like, it felt like impoverished when I came out here. Like, I expected to go into paradise and be like, yo, I'm in paradise. And I felt, oh, I'm in poverty. You know, that's what it felt like when I got out here. And then I realized, like, the types of places I got to find out here. I'm like, all right, I need to be somewhere where I can see some trees, because it's too much city out here in Bangkok. I don't really like the city, but I like Thailand because you can move around pretty easily. I'm like, well, let me go 2 hours to the beach, you know, area, or go up here to the mountains. I was about to go to the mountains today, actually, and just different. You get different experiences everywhere. And so, yeah, just to further elaborate on that, it's like, it's different. You can't compare everything to everything. You just got to go through it and live and know, like, that you're on the right track. Because I knew that at the end of the day, I knew that I made the right decision, because I was debating on staying in Colombia. You know, long term, Colombia will get you in there and you don't ever want to leave. But that was never the plan for me not to leave. It was the plan for me to keep moving around. And it took for me to get robbed to answer my question, like, yo, you're supposed to keep moving around. But that also equipped me for the rest of my travels, to where I would have came out here with my guard down, because everybody talks about how safe Thailand is and, oh, it's so safe and stuff like that. But because I got robbed in an area that I felt safe in Colombia, I didn't get robbed in the areas they tell you to avoid. I got robbed 2 minutes from my house in an area I felt safe by my Uber. So it just adds so many layers of distrust. You know what I'm saying? By the Uber I called to pick me up. So now I'm just like, I'm more on my P's and Q's, you know, where I wouldn't have been. And I needed that experience to do that, you know, because you can't really get too comfortable anywhere. And I think if I didn't get robbed, it's hard. You hear that, but until you actually experience some shit, it's hard to actually implement that. And I had to really experience some shit in life, you know, and it took for me to travel to do that. I feel safe in the States. Of many people, I feel safe in the States. I feel like I'm good, you know. So a lot of people, they are scared in the States, but I don't feel that. I think it's because of my experience. I ain't never have to see nobody get shot. I mean, I see someone shoot a gun, like, in the States. And then when I lived in the hood, they shot a car, you know, but I never seen, and I know there was gunshots and stuff, but it hadn't, I never seen it personally. So it's hard to internalize it when you don't personally experience it. Unfortunately, you know, even though you hear about it happening, you got a friend that doesn't experience it, you see it, you don't know somebody from gun violence and stuff like that. But until it actually happened to you, sometimes you don't, or somebody very close to you, you don't internalize it the same. So yeah, I'm grateful for it. Just the experience, man. Experience is the greatest teacher. And what better way to experience it than to drop yourself in a totally new environment, especially if you're solo.
Yeah, and you know, your experience with all of this is definitely a testament to, you know, your honest thought process and saying, like, this is something that I want to experience. Because I keep, like, having to harp on that. Like, so many people will say, like, oh, now I would not say that so many people are not in this scenario of, you know, you mentioned feeling safe in the United States. That is a lot of what I run into, is people, like, not feeling safe from the food, especially because you're like a vegan. So, like, I think about, you're vegan, right? I didn't make that up, right? Mm-hmm. Vegan, right? So I'm like, even like vegan, I don't even trust in the United States. So like the level of unsafety doesn't even come from like physical violence, although that is definitely like on a lot of people's radar. But as you navigate the world, I tell people the world isn't perfect. You're gonna run into things, and you got to realize what I tell people is this. And I don't know if you've done this, but you seem to know why you left, and you also seem to know it is you're looking for, and you're willing to continue on to make certain that it is that you get what you're looking for in life. So I ask you, from your perspective, because a lot of people are going to start on this journey. It may not be just because of this conversation, but they're going to see this conversation in their possible journey, and that may be just traveling more, going and taking a 12, 14, 16, 18, 20 hour flight. I don't know how long it took you to get there. Or
A long time.
moving abroad. A long time, right. Moving abroad. But what, from your perspective, because your success is not going to be their success, do you see as success for you in this nomadic journey? And it's just starting. I'm just looking like, do you have an end result? Do you have I plan my
Yeah.
anchor here because I found Narnia? Like, what does it look like?
I want to feel, I want to keep, I think 2 months is a good amount of time in a place to like 1 month, you just getting your footing. I feel like the second month for me, it gives me enough to like build a real foundation. I feel like that I can always come back to and get a good idea of what it's like to live in a place. Of course, that's not going to give you a full idea of it, but 2 months is longer than one. And right now, I'm just crossing my 1 month here in Thailand. Um, but I'm looking for somewhere that I feel like I could call home. And it may, I don't know. And years down the line, it may end up being the States. I don't know. I don't know where I'm going to end up, but I'm looking for somewhere I can call home. And I'm looking for somewhere that I can thrive without having to like stress out too hard. I could live and afford the luxuries of life without it breaking the bank, or
Yeah.
but through your travel, you can generate income as well, just by living the lifestyle. There's other avenues of income you can explore just by being the living the life that people only dream about, just
Yeah.
waking up and doing your thing, like, and just experiencing life. So I think for me, the world is my oyster. I want to make it back to Europe and spend some time out there. Europe's so damn expensive though, but I'm gonna stay out there at least a month, maybe not 2 months. Find a place. I want to experience more out there, but also I want to make it to Africa and go to some different places in Africa as well. I want to just experience different places because and follow my heart. I feel like my main thing is like following my heart on where I should be, on where I feel like I should be. Um, I think that's most important. Like you got to listen to yourself, and that's another reason why I felt like I got robbed because I wasn't listening to myself. In my heart, I knew that I wanted to be in Thailand in April. That was always the plan. That's where in my heart I wanted to be, but I let a lot of different things stop me from it. I let it change the course of my plans. And sometimes you need the very loud signs. The very day I got robbed was actually the original day I was supposed to check out my Airbnb. And I had extended it till April 1st. The first time I got robbed on March 10th. The same day I was supposed to check out, I got robbed. I would have been checked out. I got too comfortable. I wanted to stay in that place. I wanted like, even if you're comfortable in the place, you might want to move around if that's not your place, even if you feel like this is it, I just got a lot of people. I stuck out like a sore thumb at my apartment complex, but I still got too comfortable. But that same day I was going to tell my Airbnb because I was like, wanted to extend it to the 10th so I could go to Cartagena, and then wanted to extend my visa past the 3 months to talking about that. Well, I might as well stay till May. So I go to Puerto Rico in May, which ended up falling through, and just stuff that ended up working out. But I followed my heart. And then once I got to Thailand, so many confirmations happened like early on, day 1, day 2, day 3, to tell me you made the right decision and you're exactly where you're supposed to be at the time you're supposed to be at. And I just want to keep following my heart in that way to where, and I knew I was supposed to be in Colombia at the exact time I was in Colombia. and like that's where I was supposed to be at. And then I end up making it to Thailand, and I'm gonna keep moving after this. And I think for me, it works to stop in the States in between. So I did go back to the States for 2 weeks. It was a long 2 weeks, but it was like I went back to the States between April 1st and April 15th for a couple weeks, and just I tapped back in with my family and stuff like that. Got to see my family. Got to talk to I spent a lot of time with my mom, having conversations with her and different things. And I think that that's important to just follow your heart, because you'll know like where you're supposed to be. I got to re-up and get some different clothes and get different things, by just stopping home. So I think that as of this year, that's kind of working for me to stop back through and in between, rather than just keep going. So you got to look at what works for you, and don't feel like shame about, coming back to the States, or shame about where you're at. Cause it's like, you'll know that energy in the States, it's not going to let you stay too long there, cause it almost feels like if you stay, you're going to get stuck, that you might not leave. Like I could feel myself after coming up on the 2 weeks, like I could feel myself getting back into like the same shit, and everybody was on the same shit. Ain't nobody did nothing differently. You felt like you've done grown so much in this little bit of time. Some people did. One of my friends, he was doing some different stuff online. That was cool to see. Since I've been gone, he started going viral and different things. Like, but really for the most part, but he's really spiritual and good at manifestation. You really got to be in your bag spiritually to really thrive in the States on your own terms. You have to really have a good sense of groundedness and self-awareness, and it takes a great deal of strength to do that, and I just feel like you got to have a good mindset. I was talking to someone about that out here. Like it took me even a certain mindset in the States to even get out, because I always, stuff wasn't all good in the States all the times, but I never let it get to me. And I think that mindset, if I let stuff get to me and I let stress get to me, I would have never made it out, because I would have kept attracting things like that. I had to feel gratitude while I was still in my situation in order to get out of it. It's people don't talk about that enough. It takes a certain type of appreciation for where you at, no matter where you are, in order to get out. Because if you have that mindset, a pessimistic mindset, you're not going to make it out the States. You're only going to look at all the things why you can't go and why it won't work out and everything like that. So you gotta get a grip on your mindset in order to leave. So and then when you come back, it's going to be hard to get back into the same. It's gonna be easy to fall back into the same routine if you let yourself, but you're not going to want to be in these same experiences anymore, because it's like taking off the rose-colored glasses or something. Even though they're not rose-colored for a lot of people, you're taking off the red-colored glasses and realizing like stuff is green out here, and you can experience life in a different way.
And that's what these conversations are all about, One, to kind of peel the layer back behind some of these things that people are, they're on their minds, they're on their heads, but some people are a little scared to say them, and it's okay, because a lot of more people need to have honest conversations with people, especially because it's not even just what I see. These are things happening all across. You can go look. There's nothing but news articles on people looking to leave. People looking, travel is up because people are looking to escape wherever they have going on in the United States, to get out of it, whether it's temporarily or let me pack everything up and start traveling the world on a full-time basis. So I want to thank you, because this is the first conversation of this series, and we starting off with somebody not only that I appreciate looking at what you've done from coming to Colombia and then going to Thailand in the time frame. That's the one particular portion. But the unique scenario of knowing that you started, looking into things on the internet on how to, or what life could be like there, Um, you saw our conversation, and then knowing how that even conversation came about because of what we knew that people were going to start doing, going, starting to look at moving abroad, and then seeing you in person. And then it was the funniest thing because I went back. This was probably like a month after I met you, but I went back and just doing my due diligence, going through, made sure, and I had like commented to everybody's comment, and there your name was in the comments, and you had messages, and I'm sitting here like, yo, this is absolute nuts. This is it's a testament to having these conversations and the reason why these conversations need to be had. It's not about 5,000 people at one time seeing this live stream conversation. It's about somewhere, someone, just maybe just one person might run across this, and this be the reason that they say, maybe I can do it, and lead
Right.
them to you and lead them to us, whether it's music, whether it's the creative classes, whether it's just you as a person and hanging out with you in Thailand, or if you ever come back to Colombia, or wherever your new journey is, as they continue to follow you. Because what you find once you get on, I call it, once you go on the other side of TSA, things get a little different. The people you meet are a little different. The experiences that you get in life are starting to be different. So, Reese, I appreciate you, one, for having the conversation. Two, I appreciate you for being flexible, because you was like, nah, people gonna be around at this time. It's gonna be early in the morning for me, but I'll get up, make certain that these people can hear from me. And that is appreciated, because you didn't have to do it, and I thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. I'm going to say one more thing too. Turn the news
Yeah.
off. Stop watching the news. Like a
Turn the
lot of that
TV
stuff
up.
will keep you scared. And I think that's what I implemented years ago to turn off the news, because people scared of the United States that aren't here, and then people scared of other places in the world in the United States, because the news is the propaganda is real, man. The propaganda is real to keep you just in fear of just experiencing and talking to each other. And community is so important. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful just to be able to experience this. I'm so grateful I came across your video online. Like that gave me a lot of comfort. It gave me comfort in knowing, like, okay, our people are out there and they're actually having a great time and they love it. Like hearing people that have been traveling for 10 years and they decided to settle in Colombia and stuff. That gave me hope, because the stuff you'll read, you got to hear it from a Black perspective too. And it's so important to
Yeah,
hear that. It's not enough of that out here, of us putting out that content, and real content, not just influencing people, not just trying to say, hey, come on over, but really
yeah,
actually like giving people the real and long form conversations. Like I appreciate these platforms so much, this platform so much, and what you do, because like it was very inspiring. You were the first person I found, in Colombia, to doing this and making content that I could actually like really listen. I listened to that whole 2 hour conversation while I'm looking at Airbnbs, while I'm looking at other stuff. I'm listening to that, and it really helped me. It really helped me get. I sent it to people, like it helped me, and it didn't have a lot of views, and I was just so grateful I found it. And it's like you really never know who's in your audience. You build it and they will come, and yeah, I'm building it, and it's inspiring me to just keep telling my story. That's why I'm like, I'm honored to be on here and tell my story, and just be a testament, because man, this is something that I dreamed about. I wanted to do for a long time, and I overcomplicated it in my head. I had the means to do this for several years. I really worked for like 3 weeks straight, and then I just quit, and then I stopped working. So it really, the job just gave me like the comfortability to like actually, okay, let me go ahead with the job, whatever it takes to get you out. You get out and you experience those things. So I'm just very grateful that I'm experiencing in this. I'm grateful to even be on here, to be able to talk, to be able to speak to this topic. This is something 6 months ago I wouldn't have been able to do. So I don't take it lightly, and I know I'm always protected no matter where I go. No matter what I go through, I'm going to be protected, because the world is my oyster. The world is my playground, and God got me at the end of the day, and you just got to know that you're good wherever you go, and that these experiences are sent to you. These conversations are sent to you. It's all alignment. You just notice so many things be in alignment when you follow your heart in your journey.
Yeah. Nah, that's follow your heart, follow your journey, and the opportunity to essentially make your own destiny is yours. You have that ability. You just got to believe it. Like, you got to believe it, visualize it, and be willing to take the
Yeah,
first step. And from
yeah,
there, I am a testament, and so is Reese, to what can happen for you in your life. So, Reese, you said you may be moving to the mountains or something today.
yeah. Well, I'm glad I didn't because I was doing too much, actually, and I actually forgot we were going to be on here, right? And so I had booked a train to the Chiang Mai, which was a 13-hour train ride. So I would have been on the train right now. But I read the military time different. I booked like a second class train, like where you could actually lay down and had an AC. I wanted to experience it and blog it, and it just seemed better to me. I like to travel by like car and stuff. So I'm like if I'm like within 13 hours, back in the States, I would drive. I'll drive. I drove to Toronto from North Carolina. I'll drive to Miami from North Carolina or Chicago or something like that by myself. So I'm not afraid of like long rides. So I was like, yo, let me do this and vlog it and stuff. And I end up booking it like 6 a.m. yesterday morning for that night. And I was reading the military time. It was 2022. And for 2 weeks, I've been looking at this train ticket. And I've been like, yeah, that's 10 p.m., 10:22 p.m. Like for like 2 weeks, I never questioned it in my head. I never did the math. I just, in my head, I seen it as 10:22. And then why at 8 o'clock, I realized, oh shit. I looked at the email. It said 2022 in parentheses 8:22. I was like, oh shit, the train's at 8 p.m. And I
Yeah.
missed the train. So I'm also about going with the flow. I'm like, I missed the train for a reason. I was supposed to have this conversation right now. You had hit me up
Mhm.
afterwards. You had hit me up like an hour or two later, like reminding me about this. And but that's why I'm like, I need to start using my calendar again because there's so much confusion with the different time zones. I've been booking stuff 7 a.m. for the past like 3-4 days, and just like winging it. But yeah, it's like you really gotta think it through. But I'm glad I missed that train. But I'm moving around here. Like we're Columbia, I only had two spots. I had a spot for 2 weeks, and then I had a spot for 6 weeks in Columbia. I was very stationary. I've been moving like I'm already in like my fifth or sixth Airbnb since I've been out here for the month. Because a couple of Airbnbs I had to check out. I had to check out because of different reasons, and I ended up getting Airbnbs and stuff like that for free. So it's just been working out, but I've been moving around a lot. It's been kind of taxing, but I've given myself the freedom to like experience different parts of Thailand because I realize the Bangkok can be overstimulating at times. It's everything going on. It's like it's a lot going on out here. So I'm listening to my body on where I feel like I want to be, and I feel like it's time to be in the mountains. But also because I missed that, I'm like maybe not yet. I still got some shit I got to do here, and there's some business out here and stuff that I can see some event people I'm about to collaborate with and stuff like that. So I see a lot going on out here that I can assist with. I always like adding to whatever community I'm in. So yeah, I'm just kind of going with the flow, and it's been a lot of taxing moving around, but it's been great to have the flexibility to be like, all right, I'm not gonna be here all month. I'm gonna move to this place or that place. So yeah, it's very different. This experience has been very different than Colombia, but I'm grateful for both.
Nah, and that's what you got to do. Keep an open mind with everything that you are positioned with, and the opportunities will continue to come in as they need be. I
Right.
appreciate everything that you have done for this conversation. I am going to let you go. Hopefully, have a wonderful day in Thailand. I am
Yes.
going to have a good evening, and over here in Colombia, get ready for tomorrow. We're on tomorrow with Quanice for another episode of Terminal Talk, and
Right.
outside of that, we'll be on all week. Want to get you guys not only interested on topics, excuse me, invested in on topics like this, but just different things that, you know, are all within the travel space, as so many more people are starting to say, okay, well, I had this career. What is it that I do? I had this particular thought process on moving abroad. Or here's our people that are actually doing it. Some of these people are even travel influencers and people that are in the travel spaces. How do you get into these things and break the misconceptions of this whole travel thing? Because so many people think it's really difficult. And you find
Right.
out once you get in with people that it's not that difficult. But it
Right.
takes these
No.
conversations to actually, you know, peel back the layer, because there's no travel classes. There is no matter what school you went to, they didn't sit you down and say, this is how you travel the world. This is how you
Right.
find a good travel deal. This is what the people don't want you to know so you can travel
Right.
more. So this is why we're here, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you, Reese, for being here tonight for the first one. And thank you so much for anybody that tuned in or anybody that happens to watch these clips. I will see you guys manana. We will be on at 3 p.m. Central Time. You have a good day, Reese, and I'm going to have a good night.
Thank you so much, you guys. Have a good one.
All righty, you take care.